I asked people to ask me their questions related to hoops and healing, so let's get into the questions. Rachel asked, do you think it's healthy for WNBA players to play year-round with Unrivaled? So technically speaking, no, playing at the high level these players do. I don't think it's healthy for anyone's body to go through that. And I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing the rise in injuries this season or this year in general. But at the same time, these are professionals trying to make a living in complex situations, right? So we know WNBA players and Unrivaled players are not paid what NBA players are. So if they want to make decent money, they have to play somewhere in the off season. They have to play overseas or in other new leagues popping up like Unrivaled. And WNBA players have long played year-round, traditionally going overseas. However, with Unrivaled, for example, they are still playing year-round. It's just now they can stay here in the U.S. And that only still includes a really small percentage of WNBA players that are making Unrivaled rosters right now because Unrivaled is still a brand new league. If these players weren't playing in Unrivaled, they'd be going overseas anyways. But I am sure if the W were to pay them a lot more money, they could and would rest more during the off season. I think the only players right now who can really do that are Caitlin Clark and Asia Wilson due to the money they make from their brand deals off the court, for example. So I think hopefully the trend is we can see more and more players in the W able to accomplish that. Rachel also asks, what has helped you stay in the place of healing and not revert back to old wounds? Whew. Okay, this is a really, really good question, and I want to start by saying I have not yet mastered this, just so we're clear. I chose the name Hoops and Healing to, one, talk about basketball because I love the sport, but also just to start and have conversations around healing and hear different perspectives and practices from other people. So I'm still very much a work in progress, but with that said, since I have started my more serious healing journey about a year and a half ago, I would say what helps me not revert back to old wounds is just having those hard conversations with myself in the mirror, right? Like really taking a hard look at myself and asking, what do you want to get out of this life? What are your intentions? What are your core values? And what is going to make you happy at the end of the day? And I think when you set those intentions right, you have a really strong foundation to rely on, even when you're not feeling so strong in the moment. Something I do now is I'll ask myself, what would the Amanda who loves herself do in this situation? And I think that's a really powerful question to ask yourself, especially in low moments, because if you're truly honest with yourself, you're probably already going to know the answer, especially if you've already been putting in the work to really get to know yourself and take care of yourself. You might have these old triggers still, but you yourself are new and you have new tools in your back pocket. So just taking the time to step back and reflect and ask yourself, am I triggered right now? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? And what can I do right now to help myself and be kind to myself? And that includes all the positive, healthy habits you've been working on and not reverting back to your old habits that made you unhappy. So for me, it's really just about asking yourself, do I really want to get better? Or am I just going to keep repeating the same bad habits that aren't serving me? And I believe you just really have to want to change that about yourself. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you've enjoyed this episode, and you can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Hoops and Healing, as well as my personal account at amanda.mochi on Instagram, and I will link all of my handles in the description below. See you on the next episode.